No.
Tigers. Fight, Tigers, fight. Mike, it's not even a top 1,000 moment all time.
Okay, Tommy, shut the hell up, man.
Mike! Of course, I'm gonna go with the right answer. It's Ryan Eads of the Baltimore Orioles. He's only wore the number 80 for 8 games. He's only one of 2 players.
You know what? No, I'm not gonna take this. Welcome back to Go Chat. We are back with a new episode here today. We're on episode 90. Looks a little different. We don't have Tommy with us today. Unfortunately, that's what it's going to look like for the rest of the summer. Tommy actually has an internship with the Cape Cod Baseball League. He's writing articles for a team. I don't remember the name. It
was like the foul bomb condors or something like that.
Right? Commodores. The foul-mouthed Commodores. He's writing for them an internship. He's living in Cape Cod for the summer. So unfortunately, with his busy schedule, he can't meet with us. We can't all find a time to meet together, which is unfortunate, but we're still definitely going to keep him in the loop. So look out for our YouTube, Instagram, see if any Tommy, he might be in with the Go to the Numbers. Some episodes go the weeks. We're still going to try to incorporate him just as much as he was on the podcast before. We also did have a schedule change for the rest of the summer. We're going to be posting on Mondays at 1 p.m. Next weekend, which is Father's Day weekend. We'll give a reminder on Instagram. We won't be filming any episodes, so there won't be an episode next Monday. And that would perfectly place our 100th episode around August 30th that weekend, which will all be in Ithaca, which will definitely be really cool to get when we get Tommy back. And hopefully we get him back for episode 99, because we know that is a much awaiting episode because of the Go to the Number. But anyways, I'm here, Matt Kane. I'm alongside Connor Wood and Mike Buetti. How are you guys doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. I want to wish Tommy all the best. He's out there doing some great things with, obviously, we're all sports media majors. He's out there being able to go and actually do it on the field for the summer. So definitely just wish the best of luck to our co-host, Tommy.
Yeah, sucks not having Tommy here. As much as we all jumped on him for the ridiculous Go the Numbers that he threw out there, they were fun and entertaining nonetheless. So Tommy, we know you're doing great things out there, and hopefully a couple episodes you'll be able to be here, but we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely hope he's here and there. But we got an episode of film. We're on episode number 90. We got to Go to the Number. Of course, we talked about Tommy throwing out some random baseball players. Not sure any of us will, but Mike, who are you going to go with for the GOAT of number 90?
I'm going with Julius Peppers, one of the best edge rushers of his generation, Hall of Fame 2000s team, Hall of Fame 2010s team. He's a lock for the Hall of Fame at this point, 9-time Pro Bowl, 3-time All-Pro, almost 160 sacks in his career, especially his time on the Carolina Panthers. That's where he really stood out the most and really wreaked havoc on the NFC South offensive lines. So 100% Julius Peppers here. Great player.
Connor?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Mike on Julius Peppers here. He named all the stats. He was a part of our generation, watching him us growing up, watching him really emerge into a top star on the defensive side of the ball there for many years in Carolina and then Chicago. And then obviously he ended his career in Green Bay. He was a force. I mean, he finished with over 159 career sacks, 159 and a half to be exact. That puts him up there on the leaderboard for most sacks all time. So definitely Julius Peppers here.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you guys there. I definitely think it's Julius Peppers. As much as, I had a love-hate relationship for this guy playing with the Bears. He wore number 90 on the Bears. Didn't wear number 90 on Green Bay. He's in this. I think he's right there in the 2015 Green Bay Packers picture. But didn't wear number 90, so I'm not going to give him any credit there. Connor, he did actually end his career in Carolina. He went back to Carolina, but yeah.
He was kind of like a one-day contract or something like that.
No, I think he played for like a year. It was like a 1-year thing. Like, he wasn't good at all.
He played in Carolina 2017, 2018.
Yeah, he did, but I don't think he was any really good.
He played in 13 games in those 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
well, he's at number 4 on the all-time sack list, so it's 100% got to be him. His
Yeah.
dominance and longevity over 16-year period is really unmatched.
Someone has to fill Tommy's shoes here. So I'm gonna
I
take.
thought we could cut some minutes with this, but go ahead.
I'm gonna take the stab and go with former Yankees second baseman, shortstop, and third baseman Thero Estrada. He wore number 90 in 2019 for the New York Yankees, playing in 35 games, 64 at bats, having 16 hits, 3 home runs, 12 RBIs, 4 stolen bases, a 250 batting average, 294 on base percentage, with a .02 career WAR. Thero Estrada, number 90, honorable mention right there.
All right. Well, I guess we have Tommy. We have a part of Tommy. We're gonna keep a part of Tommy throughout.
He lives on. He lives on. But it's not him. Just throwing that out there, it's not him. Connor, I appreciate, you putting your best foot forward with the random baseball player, but like most of Tommy's other golden numbers, just doesn't live up to the actual golden number.
No, I'll have to agree with Mike. But we got a great episode for you guys today. We're gonna be talking about Julio Jones traded to the Tennessee Titans, and then we're gonna get into a little boxing, which we haven't ever talked about here. We never talked about boxing here on Go Chat, but that is all coming up next.
Welcome back to Go Chat. And if you guys are consistent followers, you saw that a couple weeks ago, we were talking about some Julio Jones rumors of being traded from the Atlanta Falcons. Well, those rumors have since then been turned into a reality in the NFL. Obviously, after that early June date when the Atlanta Falcons would be able to save all that cap space, they did decide to deal former Atlanta Falcon wide receiver Julio Jones to the Tennessee Titans, and a 6th round pick going to the Titans as well, in exchange for a 2022 second round pick and a 2023 4th round pick. Now, obviously, we can get into the details of a trade in just a second. The main question here is, does Julio Jones being a Tennessee Titan make them contenders not only in the AFC South, but in the AFC and the NFL? Mike, I'm going to swing it to you here first.
Heck no. The Titans are not AFC contenders. They aren't Super Bowl contenders. They're going to have a top 3 offense in the NFL, no doubt, if Julio is able to stay healthy, and that's a massive if. I've been a huge Julio Jones fan, pretty much for as long as I've been a football fan. That his size, speed, route running combination is something I've never seen. He's been the best wide receiver in my eyes over like the past 5 years, but he's still playing very well, but age is catching up to him. I just don't know if he can stay healthy over the full length of a season, especially a season with an extra game added on top of it, and you throw the playoffs in there. I think he's going to make a huge impact on the offense, but the defense is still miserable. But Bud Dupree, they signed Bud Dupree in the offseason. He's not going to fix all their defensive woes. I mean, James Robinson just ran down their throats, and same with the rest of the AFC South. I think the Colts are still the team to be in this division. I think the Titans are going to make the playoffs now. Before, I wasn't really confident in them, given the kind of weapons they had and still the porous defense that they still maintain right now. But the Titans are still a playoff team, but are they contenders? No, they just aren't. They can win the AFC South, but that's about it.
I mean, Matt, I'm going to swing it to you here.
Yeah, I will have to agree with everything Mike said. I'm gonna question a little the top 3 offense, because on paper, yes, they would be a top 3 offense, but I don't know if it's going to work out that way because of how they run the ball with Derrick Henry so often. And then obviously putting trust in Ryan Tannehill. He's a great quarterback. He's one of the most efficient quarterbacks over the past couple of years. But I am not 100% sure that bringing Julio Jones into that offense will push them into the top 3. But that's not the conversation that we're having here. As regards to the Titans being a contender moving forward, no, I'm going to have to agree there. I don't think Tennessee is going to contend for anywhere close to a championship. I think that they're a safe bet for the AFC South now, but they do have a miserable defense, like Mike said. They brought in Caleb Farley in the draft. Farley's had back problems. I think he's a great player. Connor, I know you think he's a great player too. We had him going to the Cardinals at 16th, I'm pretty sure, in our mock drafts. But that's not going to solve their defense. And I get it's Julio Jones, but is a wide receiver really going to do that much for you? Yes, Julio is one of the best wide receivers that we've seen in the past 5 years. But then think about it. A wide receiver, the value that they have on an offense, it's not that heavy. You know, when you're bringing in let's say you're bringing in a quarterback of that caliber, that is a huge improvement that you're making on your team because of how important a quarterback is. Now a wide receiver, does that push you to the next step? I'm not sure. I really am not sure. And you could even say that the Packers, if they had another wide receiver, they could be in the Super Bowl, which, you know, I guess that's a debate, but I don't know if that even would push the Packers anywhere closer to the Super Bowl, just because of the value of wide receiver. Nothing against Julio. But
I think I'm going to push back on the point you're trying to make that Julio isn't going to make a big impact in Tennessee. And I think he will, just based on the fact on who they lost in the offseason. They lost Corey Davis, Jonnu Smith, Adam Humphries. I mean, they all left, and that's a ton of vacated targets. You know, that we're going to be going to A.J. Brown, and who was their second wide receiver? Josh Reynolds. I don't even know who else is on their wide receiver depth chart, but besides A.J. Brown and Josh Reynolds. I think Julio. What?
Yeah. I'm not saying he's obviously going to make an impact on the team. I just don't think he's going to make. The point I was trying to make is I don't think he's going to make a big impact enough to push them anywhere closer to the Super Bowl or a championship. But Mike, if you have anything else to say, and then maybe Connor could get his point off.
No, I was just saying that still their depth at every position is still very poor. And I think they formed the best wide receiver duo in the NFL. But how many games are they going to be in the field together? How many games is Julio going to be, have a nagging injury? So those are the questions I had. And I don't think the Titans are going to have answers to them often. Anyways, I've said my piece. So has Matt. Connor, what are your thoughts on the situation?
I'm going to disagree with both of you. I think this move can truly make the Titans not only AFC South contenders. Obviously, it's going to be them and the Colts battling for the AFC South. I think that's
Jaguars.
No, I think that's a safe bet there. I think they can battle for an AFC title. I mean they've done it. They've been in battles for the AFC title just a couple of years ago. And I said it a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about these rumors. Yes, I know that my main spot for Julio was New England, but I did bring up Tennessee, saying this was a team that needed to make a move after losing Jonnu Smith, after losing Corey Davis. I mean, Mike mentioned A.J. Brown and Josh Reynolds are the only wide receivers that we know of who are on the Titans. I mean, this was a move that had to be made. And when you have two big body receivers like this, like A.J. Brown and Julio on the outside, I mean, you can't double cover one because then the other one's so far at an advantage. I mean, you're going to have to play one-on-one with them and just hope for the best. And then you have Derek. If you push all you guys back and are covering the deep ball to your receivers, then you have Derrick Henry punching it down your throat for 6 to 7 yards a pop. And I mean, when I think of a quarterback to give these kind of two wide receivers to, I'm not going to say that I would 100% give that to Ryan Tannehill, but he is more than capable of doing justice for these two wide receivers. We've seen what he's done since getting taken out of an Adam Gase system. He's gotten put in Tennessee, and he's been so consistent and so good with the football and has been minimizing turnovers. Him and Mike Vrabel have really been a good combination there for Tennessee, and you add him another great target. He's a system quarterback. We all know that Tannehill is a system quarterback. When you give him good targets and then Derrick Henry out of the backfield, I mean, he's going to succeed. The big point with Tennessee is the defense, no doubt. Adding Bud Dupree is huge. Adding Caleb Farley is huge. They added Kevin Johnson in free agency. Obviously, they lost to Dory Jackson and they lost Malcolm Butler, which are two huge losses in your secondary. I think Tennessee's defense can be good. I really do. I love Mike Vrabel as a head coach, and I think he just brings a fire. I think Tennessee can compete for an AFC championship.
The way you started that sentence got me so scared because I thought you were going to say if you had to pick any quarterback to give these two weapons to, that you'd give it to Ryan Tannehill. I know you didn't say that. And there's like, I would probably say, I was like starting to name quarterbacks in my head I would give it to. But no, Ryan Tannehill, very efficient quarterback. I would have to agree with you on that. The problem that I have in AFC and the Titans were AFC. We know that they were in the AFC Championship 2 years ago. Is the problem is now the AFC is just so much better with the Bills, the Colts. If let's say the Colts aren't good, so I'll scratch the Colts, the Browns, the Steelers, quite possibly the Ravens. I think it's a very competitive AFC, and even though the Titans defense might be on, hey, if the Titans defense is on like top 5 defense, they're going to be a run in the playoffs. But I don't expect that. And with the competition in the AFC, I don't expect them to be a championship team. But hey, if they were in the NFC, I will give you that props. I would probably be on your side with that. But the AFC is just, I mean, I feel bad for the AFC teams, like the decent AFC teams that would be so good in the NFC coming up this year.
One thing that I do want to mention, and I don't have any evidence or research or any sort of to back this up, but obviously the Atlanta Falcons play in the Mercedes Dome. No, that's not what they play on turf. They play on turf, which I think could be an explanation for Julio having so many different strenuous leg injuries and ankle injuries, is playing on the turf. Tennessee at Nissan Stadium is a grass field. I think not to say that it's a 100% definite, but I think seeing Julio play on a grass field could minimize the amount of injuries that he partakes just because of it not being on the turf.
All right, Dr. Wood. Mike, it looks like you're thinking up there. You got anything?
I just don't understand how you can look at Tennessee and think that their defense is going to be good. I don't even know if their defense is going to be average. First of all, the cornerback that you said they signed, Kevin Johnson, he retired a week ago. So right now their starting cornerback are Janoris Jenkins and Caleb Farley, who has a 50-year-old back. I really like Elijah Molden, another corner they took in the draft, and they still have Christian Fulton from last year, who got absolutely toasted. But there's just nothing there. What did they do to improve the run defense? They lost that playoff game against Baltimore last year because of their run defense. Listen, the only way they're going to win games is by outscoring all of their opponents. And I still think that they'll be able to do that. But when you're going up against teams like the Colts and the Ravens and the Chiefs, and the Dolphins, come on, the Browns, these are much more well-rounded teams at all 3 levels of not offense, but their defense. The Ravens are super balanced. They just added Rashad Bateman in the draft, who I loved as a wide receiver. Let's see if Lamar can get in the ball properly, right? Which I think he's going to continue to improve on his accuracy. I know you guys, call him running back and all that stuff, but I have a lot more faith in Lamar. But the fact of the matter is that Tennessee's defense isn't very good at all. I'd be surprised if it was a top 20 defense. If the Tennessee defense is average, they'll compete for an AFC championship. But I wouldn't put a single penny on them being average.
I'm just saying, I love the fire that Mike Vrabel brings to the team. And we've seen the team since he's been hired get consistently better every season. Obviously, this past season, they did have the downfall. They were competing they were in the AFC championship game 2 years ago. And then they fell in the wild card round this past season. But I think Vrabel can really fire up that defense. Adding Bud Dupree, he's a solid guy. He's a leader on a defense. And, yes, you definitely need talent to be a great player in the NFL on the defensive side of the ball. But sometimes when you have a great leader to push you in the weight room, on the practice field, to get there early and just to consistently get better every single day you step into a facility, I think that definitely could pay dividends onto a defense. So while their defense could be made up of players who who aren't that good in the NFL, who haven't had great careers. I think adding Bud Dupree definitely makes that just a more firepower defense because of the leadership that he could bring.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make that case with a ton of players around the league, but we don't see, that go into effect. You literally just raved about how good of a coach Mike Vrabel is. It's not like Mike Vrabel is not already firing these guys up in the weight room. It's not like they already have leaders on the defense like Jeffrey Simmons and Kevin Byard, who's one of the best safeties in the league. I just don't think that Bud Dupree is going to bring a massive impact to the team, while they could have saved their money and gone in multiple different rounds, maybe got multiple stars on defense instead of one star, who I don't think is much of a star at all and really got helped out being in Pittsburgh on the other side of TJ Watt.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
Wait. When Bud Dupree got hurt right when the Steelers started losing, that was one of the reasons why they started losing on defense. It's because of Bud Dupree being out. I think Bud Dupree is a great player, and I think he's a great addition to Tennessee. I don't think he was just another guy on the Steelers defense, though.
I mean, in 11 games last year, he had 8 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 23 tackles.
I understand, but I'm sorry. I know I'm gonna look like an idiot right now, but I forgot the guy who replaced him, and he still played very well in that Steelers system. So I think Bud Dupree, he's a nice player. He's an above average player, but I think they could have used their money in different places, and I still don't think that's gonna fix their run defense or their pass defense with the corners that they currently have. They'll be a playoff team. AFC contender, no shot.
What position is Bud Dupree? Is he
He's
like
outside
a linebacker, right?
Outside
Like an
linebacker.
edge.
Alex Highsmith? Or was it Vince Williams? Or Robert Spillane? I don't know. I'm just looking at the Steelers.
Looking at the Steelers roster
I'm
now.
looking at the Steelers depth chart right now because I know that some backup dude was just absolutely trash on that Steelers defense. But I mean, hey, only time will tell. That's all I'm going to tell you guys right now is only time will tell if the Tennessee Titans do have a better defense this upcoming year or they're absolutely trash. And that Julio Jones trade really did nothing to them. But I mean, quickly, can we talk about I say quickly, I don't want to be talking about this for 5 minutes. Can we talk about how the Tennessee Titans gave nothing for that?
Yeah.
They stole him.
I mean
that interview on Undisputed just blew up the Falcons fans.
I want to put this into a perspective. We argued a couple months ago when Sam Darnold was traded that the Jets that I don't know exactly what the argument was, but I think Matt was arguing that the Panthers gave up too much.
No, I said the Panthers. No, I said the Panthers.
I think I said that Panthers gave up too much.
It was put through like a metric system on like NFL or whatever, and truthfully, like through the metric system, it said that Sam Darnold in that trade was more valuable than Julio Jones in the way these trades worked out. So I mean, just a little bit of perspective there. I mean, Julio Jones was stolen.
I mean, honestly, I think if I had to put them on a trade ranker, I think it'd be really close, but I'd give the edge to Julio just because of how, just like I said, the value of a quarterback. That's the only reason why. I think it'd be close, but I'd probably say Julio. I would give a first rounder to Julio if I was a GM and I had a contending team now, not a bad team, but still unbelievable that the Titans just stole him. I couldn't believe it. Well, I mean, it was pretty obvious that they wanted to throw him to the AFC too. Just to point that out, because I'm sure that a lot of NFC teams wanted him, like the Seahawks. We're definitely a team that were really pushing for him. Russell Wilson's trying to get more wide receivers because he doesn't have enough, I guess. Any final thoughts on Julio Jones or the NFL in general before we move into our next topic?
Preseason schedules are out. We're getting close. I mean, we got OTAs, mini camps going on. I love seeing footballs in the air.
I don't watch I'm gonna be real. I don't really watch preseason. I mean, hey, I watch preseason like one game. I'll watch Jordan Love play, maybe a little Blake Bortles action.
Any
But
football
after
is
that,
good football. Any football is good football.
I mean, hey, I can't disagree with you there. But we got another great segment coming up. We're gonna catch a little break, and then when we come back, we're gonna be talking about some boxing, baby.
Welcome back to Go Chat. We got a nice boxing segment planned for you guys. If you don't already know, the past 2 weekends have been filled with some interesting boxing events, to say the least. First off, Logan Paul took on Floyd Mayweather in Miami Gardens at the Hard Rock Stadium. That was a huge event. Whether you enjoyed it or not, brought in a bunch of eyes, and brought in a bunch of pay-per-view tickets and all that stuff like that. And then the following weekend, there was a boxing event between called the Battle of the Platforms. Jesus. Between TikTokers and YouTubers. And that was another interesting event. So the question we're going to propose here is whether these celebrity kind of boxing events, and now Jake Paul, is off on his own. He's going to be fighting Tyron Woodley August 28th, I think. So he's doing his own thing. So is this like YouTube boxing celebrity prize fighting event style good for the sport of boxing, or is it bad for it? Matt, I'll swing it to you first.
I mean, first of all, before we get into this topic, I mean, YouTube versus TikTok, I'm surprised they didn't invite us, like maybe like I could have took on maybe I could have took on Taylor Holder, Mike, you could pick whoever you want. I don't know. They should have invited us. I'm kind of mad about that. Tommy would have just swiped the floor, but going back to your question, I think this helps the sport. I mean, let's think about this. Okay. Boxing, did I really care about boxing at all? Like, was I watching boxing before all this happened? Heck no. Now am I watching boxing? Well, when these events are going on, yeah, because I want to see them hit the living crap out of each other. I mean, I want to see Bryce Hall blood bleeding like a faucet out of his nose. And whoever it is, Jake Paul, I don't like the guy. But I'm not going to lie, watching him is pretty cool. I think he's a really good boxer himself. But when we talk about is it helping or hurting the sport, now, if you're a huge fan of boxing, I hate to break it to you, you might be crying, you might be wanting this to go in a grave or something. But this is helping the sport. I mean, you think about the PPV or whatever, the pay-per-view, yeah. You think about the record. Didn't Jake Paul hit a record or something with Ben Askren, or it was Logan Paul?
I don't really think. He had a lot of pay-per-view buys, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Also a lot of illegal streaming.
Yeah, yeah, whatever that was. The PPVs that people are buying, like people are really buying into this. You look at the Hard Rock Stadium last night, or for the TikTok event 2 nights ago, that was packed, and that's just TikTokers and YouTubers fighting. That's what they could bring. And then the Logan Paul, Floyd Mayweather, everyone wanted to see that because they just thought Floyd Mayweather would knock Logan Paul out in the first round. But back to the question, does it help or hurt the sport? I'm gonna say it helps, because these guys are entertainers. They are they're content creators, and they are just bringing a huge crowd to the sport of boxing, which the sport of boxing, let's be real, was not a lot of people. I mean, I don't know if you guys watched boxing before this. I mean, once in a while, maybe. I remember watching the McGregor Mayweather fight, but I didn't watch a lot of boxing. But now lately, I have been.
All right, Matt gave his take there. Connor, you gonna agree with him or disagree?
Absolutely not. I'm not agreeing with any single word that he said. I'll agree with the fact that more people are tuning in. Fine, but it is not better for the
sport, doesn't it?
It is not better for the sport of boxing. 2 weekends ago, we had a fighter in Floyd Mayweather, a 50-0 career record in the ring, go up against Logan Paul, and he couldn't knock him out. He couldn't put him down. What does that say about the sport of boxing? He's 50-0 and he couldn't knock out Logan Paul.
He's like 45 though.
It doesn't matter. He was 50-0.
But he's 45 years old.
We go
He's
back
much shorter than him.
He's
Like
50 pounds lighter.
we go back and we think about the event when it was Jake Paul versus Nate Robinson with Mike Tyson there. I mean, two classic boxers going at it against each other. And the highlight of that night was Jake Paul knocking out Nate Robinson instead of Mike Tyson back in a boxing ring. I mean,
the fight was crap. But go on.
It doesn't matter. It's the names around this sport. I mean, I will put money on it that if this was in Muhammad Ali's time of boxing, there would be no one except pure athletes in that ring. That's the same way it should be all the time.
So you're not saying these guys are athletes, because based on definition, they are athletes because they are training for this sport and they're physically in shape. Not Deji, of course, but most of these guys.
Why you got a clown like him like that? Don't beat a man while he's down.
Most of these guys, like Jake Paul, I don't like Jake Paul, but he's been boxing for like 3 years now, and he's been training his butt off. He's an athlete. Like, just because he's a YouTuber doesn't mean he can't be an athlete at the same time.
Jake Paul, I will give an exception to, because he has gone out there and he's busted his butt and he's been impressive. And you know what? If he can go out there on August 28th and beat Tyron Woodley or give up a good fight against Tyron Woodley, fine. I'll call him a boxer. He's not a boxer yet. He hasn't fought anybody. He fought an unhealthy, overweight Ben Askren. He fought a former NBA player in Nate Robinson. And I mean, I don't even know who the first fighter he fought was, because it didn't matter. I mean, go out there and fight a real fighter, and then let the people see it. Let the people see that you're truly talented if you go out there and you fight a real fighter and you actually hold your own in the ring against someone who's trained for this his whole life. I hate the social media aspect that's come to boxing, because you know what? We're not seeing a TikTok versus a YouTube MLB game, a baseball game. We're not seeing that on a football field or a soccer field. Why are we seeing it in a ring? Just so that we can see teenagers and young adults go in there and hit each other?
They have like all-star celebrity games for like basketball and like the softball ones for baseball.
No, but the all-star celebrity game for the NBA is so dumb. There's maybe two notable celebrities in those games, and the rest are just no names. And the same thing.
That's probably the same thing you thought about this past event this weekend. You probably only knew like two. You said you didn't even know Bryce Hall, but when we did him for pick'ems, you didn't know any of the guys, so you just picked Bryce Hall.
I'm just saying. I
mean, I want you to talk, but I just want to say this. You look at what is selling in an event in July: Tom Brady and Phil Mickelson versus Aaron Rodgers and Bryson DeChambeau. Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady are not golfers, but they're competing in a golf match and they're selling it. So what do you have to say? What about that? Like, that's kind of the same thing, theoretically, because they're not golfers. They're football players, just like how these guys are YouTubers, not boxers, but they're going in and they're selling an event for the sport. So it's like the same thing, theoretically.
No, it's not, because that golf event between Tom Brady and Phil Mickelson and Bryson DeChambeau, that's money that's not going into their pocket or into the sport of golf. That's going straight to charities. So it's completely different.
But it's an event. Is it not an event?
It's a charity event versus an event where people are just trying to get much more popular and raise their views and all that stuff.
Okay, Mike, I can't.
Connor, I'm just curious, why do you think this is bad for the sport of boxing? I want like a 1-2 sentence answer, because I'm a little on exactly why it's bad.
It's a disgrace for the names like Floyd Mayweather and Mike Tyson, who put their entire lives into a sport. And
Matt, let him talk.
For someone just to get popular on social media enough for them to be able to get into a ring.
Dude, you realize Floyd Mayweather took this for the money. He's a greedy little. He took it for the money. Like, it's not like he's being forced to fight Logan Paul.
I'm not saying,
honestly, Logan Paul doesn't need the views. So
I'm not saying Floyd didn't take it for the money, but when you're a 50-0 boxer, I mean, somewhere along the way, you had to be a little bit successful in the ring. And the same thing with Mike Tyson. I mean, it is a disgrace for those two names and Muhammad Ali. I mean, all of these, George Foreman, all of these incredible boxers who put their entire lives into a sport, and for it to be an event of people who get views on YouTube and views and likes on TikTok, for them to go against each other, it's a disgrace.
Mike, you go.
Okay, I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna pretty much agree with Matt here. I think this is fantastic for the sport of boxing. I know before, the whole YouTube boxing thing started, I wasn't really into boxing personally, right? But ever since the KSI Joe Weller event happened, and YouTube boxing has escalated even more from that into what we see now, right? I've become a much bigger fan of the sport of boxing, and there's some boxers I like. I like Deontay Wilder. I like Canelo. I like watching them fight. Gervonta Davis and all that stuff. And I like Floyd Mayweather as a boxer. I like going back and watching some of his fights against the likes of De La Hoya. But personally, I think this is great for the sport of boxing. It's bringing more eyes to the sport. And I'm for sure, if there was no YouTube boxing, I really don't think there is any chance I'd be interested in the sport as of right now. Besides the McGregor Mayweather fight, that fight was massive, right? I don't really think I would have watched any other fights, but I do have this one caveat. I want them to stick to fighting other social media influencers. Jake Paul, he's doing his own thing, right? And I don't necessarily like what he's doing, taking off older UFC fighters who necessarily are not stand-up fighters, especially Ben Askren. I picked him. I picked him to win the fight. I was drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit with his experience, but obviously he wasn't near ready to fight. If he had a year to train, I don't think he would have beaten Jake. He got absolutely destroyed. But I don't have a problem with professional fighters and these influencers fighting on the same card, like what happened with KSI Logan Paul 2, where KSI and Logan Paul were the main card, and then they had Devin Haney and fighting someone else for a world title on the undercard. I have no problem with that, right? I didn't like what Floyd Mayweather did with Logan Paul a weekend ago. I just thought that put a stain on his legacy. He says he doesn't care about his legacy, but it just looks bad, not being able to knock out a YouTuber who's only been doing this for 3 years. Floyd Mayweather has probably been boxing for 30 plus years, right? And I think that puts a stain on the sport. Don't have these older boxers come back into the ring just to fight for money. Obviously, Floyd, he's all about the money team Mayweather, TBE, all that stuff, right? I didn't like that event, especially considering the weight and the height difference. You know what I mean? So I love it. I love like the general thing, but I just have a little caveat with the Logan Floyd event. It obviously brought in a bunch of money, but that was the sole goal there, instead of keeping it in the influencer world. So as long as it sticks between influencers, I'm totally good with it. It's bringing so many eyes and views to the sport of boxing that never would have been revealed in any other situation.
I'm fairly certain that Floyd was the one who challenged Logan too, because
Yeah,
I think
I hate it.
Podcast. In the Impulsive podcast, I think Logan said his manager Jeff asked him, "Would you ever fight Floyd Mayweather?" Because he was reached out. I'm sure Logan maybe. I don't remember the beef, how it started or whatever. If it's not beef, but like that whole thing started. I'm sure Logan probably trolled a little, at least, for it to happen.
I mean, like, Floyd was just doing it for the money. Of course, it's like, especially when Logan Paul gets in the ring with Floyd Mayweather, that's just a slap in the face to all the other boxers who are working hard and up and coming in the sport, looking to fight for a world title, that he's been pretty much his only credentials is that he lost one pro fight and he gets a bunch of views for his podcast. So I thought the Logan Paul Floyd Mayweather event was a disgrace, and
I loved it.
Not the same with the Jake Paul Ben Askren fight, and now Jake Paul Tyron Woodley. That's a different thing. I still don't necessarily like that, but you can't be fighting one of the greats just because you're a YouTuber. So Connor, on that, I'll agree with you, but with most of it, I'll agree with that.
I mean, I honestly like the event. I mean, I'm just gonna say
it
that
was
out there.
interesting, but like I thought it was disgraceful for the sport of boxing.
The way it was built up. I mean, you got the greatest boxer of all time. You have one of the top grossing YouTubers in the past 5 years. That way it was whole built up. And the thing I respect about the Pauls is they're really good with their business. Like they're really good at marketing and really good at pushing a fight. And even Jake Paul is, because we see him literally being a clown, slashing Austin McBroom's tires supposedly. But that I really respect how they really just promote a fight. And I think hey, Floyd was the one who wanted it. I mean, it's not like I don't think an average, maybe Logan's not an average YouTuber, but I don't think a YouTuber of Logan's stature, I guess, can say, hey, Floyd Mayweather, you want to fight? Or hey, Muhammad Ali, if he was alive, or whoever, you want to fight? I don't think
Ali wouldn't have taken that fight. No way.
I don't think in a million years nobody would take that fight except Floyd Mayweather, I guess. So I think that just really, it might stain his legacy, but honestly, he had it coming for him if he's the one who wanted that fight. And if we keep seeing these fights going on, I will keep watching these because they're really, really, really entertaining. I mean, whatever fight you're watching, hopefully we get a KSI. I want to see KSI back in the ring with someone.
Hopefully don't get another Triller event, that's for sure.
I think it's a slap in the face to all the boxers that have put their entire life into training for this sport, and then teenagers or young adults on TikTok and YouTube are able to go and headline an event, a boxing event, and make so much money because of their name and because of the views that they've gotten on their social media platform, where there are so many great boxers who have just flown under the radar and haven't even been on a main card. And they're so much more than just deserving of it. I mean, boxing is on ESPN at night just about every weekend. And I mean, these boxers are so talented. I mean, they're throwing incredible jabs and they deserve to be on a main card of these pay-per-views. And for pay-per-views just to be pretty much handed to these social media people, be like, here you go, here's your platform, get yourself more views, get yourself more people to watch your stuff, and we're going to give you money. I just think it's awful.
That's Connor, I hate to break it to you, but that's the way life kind of works. Like in general, I'm not even talking about in boxing. That's kind of the way life works. But I will give credit to these YouTubers. It's not like they're just stepping in a ring in boxing. We see Logan, Jake, Austin McBroom, Bryce. I haven't seen videos of Bryce Hall, but I'm sure Bryce Hall, they train their butts off. I mean, if Logan didn't train for that fight, he probably would have gotten knocked out, but he trained his butt off. Connor, I understand.
Take Logan Paul and Jake Paul out of this. I agree that,
but nobody else has fought a fighter. They're just headlining YouTube boxing.
Logan Paul and Jake Paul have busted their butt to try to get into the sport, and that's all fine. What the problem is the event that happened on Saturday night. I mean,
it's not like boxers were in it in general, though.
Exactly. If there's a boxing event, it should be boxers, people who have trained for this for years, have put their life devoted to this for years.
So you think a boxer should have been headlining a YouTube versus TikTok fight?
No, there shouldn't be a YouTube versus TikTok fight. It shouldn't have even happened. They're giving these kids a platform to make them.
They already have a platform. I don't understand.
What do you mean they don't have a platform?
I said they already do have a platform. That's why they're able to sell all these events out.
So what they're doing is giving these kids a platform to make themselves better. and giving them money for it.
Listen.
They're-
Connor, I don't think Austin McBroom needed any better, or Bryce Hall, or Taylor Halder, or an Isan Gibb, or really Deji. I mean, if we want to go down, Tanner Fox didn't, but he didn't even fight. If you want to go down the list to Kale Siraj, who won
Then
he
why
won
are
like
they
a
doing it?
TikTok
Then
like
why are they
bracket
doing it?
to fill in.
It-
They're doing
Why
it
are they
because
fighting?
It makes
They're-
money. It
they're
makes
doing it
money.
because
And it's
one-
entertaining.
One, it makes money. Two, Austin and Bryce really had this beef. And three, I don't know a third, but it makes money, and it's just for the fans, and it's entertaining. They're still working their butts off to provide the best and win, because everyone wants to win.
If you're watching an event like that, you understand that the level of boxing isn't going to be high,
No,
right?
it's not. It was pretty.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is, given their low level of skill, it makes the fights a little more entertaining because they're more or less swinging for the fences. And I think that's what really has drawn in mine and Matt's interest to the sport, to the point where we're actually watching professional fights and starting to learn more about the sport. I'm not going to call myself a boxing aficionado, but I damn sure understand the sport way more than I did 4 years ago. So keep doing us. Connor, I just don't think that you're a fan of any of these influencers on the card. I think that's also a reason why you don't think it's helping the sport of boxing, that you personally aren't entertained with them, right? But me and Matt can tell you, and a bunch of our friends, right? I bet it's bringing a lot of eyes to the sport, good or bad. It's bringing a bunch of eyes and drawing up a lot of interest. So that's the last thing I'll say about this topic. It's kind of dragged on a little bit. But do either of you have any final comments?
I just have to agree with all that. And you even look at like Instagram, it's just everywhere now. Boxing is everywhere, and the sport is literally. I think it brought the sport back to life with these guys. Brought the sport of boxing back to life. Connor's just over there laughing. He's thinking that he really messed up there, but we're not we're not gonna be doing GOAT picks yet. GOAT picks are gonna be after the Father's Day break that we have, but we're gonna be going into GOAT of the week coming up next. Welcome back to Go Chat. We are back with the GOAT of the week, finishing up the episode. Last week, GOAT of the week, Tommy won. Oh my gosh, he won finally. This is like his first win in like 3 months, and he can't be here to celebrate. Tommy, we are going to celebrate for you. Congratulations, buddy. You won with Coach K. I think that's his 6th win since, I don't know, a year and a month. A year and a month. But we got
No, not that is not his first win in over
6.
a year.
No, it's his 6th win in a year and a month. So that's how much.
I was like, wait a second.
No, it's probably his first win in a couple months. I'm not sure. I think he's had 2 wins in the past 4 months. That could be an actual stat line. But we're not here to give you stat lines about GOAT Chat. We're here to give you the GOAT of the week. Mike, I'm going to start with you. Who is your GOAT of the week?
I'm going to go off the board with you. I'm going to go with Ethan Horvath, a goalie for the United States of America. This happened a little while ago at the beginning of the week, but USA defeated their rival Mexico in the Nations League CONCACAF, CONCACAF, right?
Yeah.
Like the championship there, and it was their first championship. And this United States team is a really young and upcoming team, and getting over Mexico was a huge hump for them and a huge accomplishment. And a large portion of that victory goes to Ethan Horvath, the backup goalie for the U.S. So Zach Steffen, the starting goalie, he had some non-contact knee injury. Hopefully he's okay. I don't have the injury update on him, but hopefully he's okay. But Ethan Horvath came in cold, off the bench, made 6 saves. The game went into extra time, and Mexico had a penalty shot, was like in like the 121st minute or something like that, right? This was to tie the game after the U.S. took a 3-2 lead. Ethan Horvath, he made 5 saves up to that point, and he saves a huge penalty to hold the lead for the U.S. He was, without Ethan Horvath, the United States would have either tied or lost this game, and Ethan Horvath should 100% be the GOAT of the week.
Man, really, really a long portion of why Ethan Horvath should win. It is the CONCACAF, that is the Confederation of North Central America and Caribbean Association Football. You learn something new every day. I did not know what that meant, so I had to search it. I knew like what the CONCACAF was. I didn't know what CONCACAF meant. But Connor, your turn.
I am going to go with first baseman for the Toronto Blue Jays, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. In his last 7 games, he has scored 5 runs, 9 hits, 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, 7 walks, a stolen base. He's hitting .391, .533 with an over 800 slugging percentage. I mean, he's been fantastic in his last 3 games against Boston. He hit a home run in every game, had 7 hits in the series, 5 runs. I mean, 3 walks, a stolen base, 7 RBIs. I mean, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has been on fire. He's looking at an all-star appearance right now. He's looking at a potential MVP appearance, MVP trophy. And on the right now, with the pace that he's going, we could be looking at a potential Triple Crown runner. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is the GOAT of the week this week.
Ah, yes.
Vote for him if you want to vote for steroid users. Anyways, Matt, go ahead.
Ah, yes.
You kidding me?
Oh my God.
No, I'm joking. I've just seen that a little bit on a Twitter that he's on the juice. I have no idea. He dropped like 40 pounds in the off season, but go ahead, Matt.
Okay. Vlad Guerrero Jr. is the son of Tommy's GOAT of the number 27. Vlad Guerrero, if you guys remember that, going back to Goat Chat stats, that was in episode number 27. But nonetheless, for my GOAT of the week, usually like I get cut off like 20 times, so I'm kind of shocked right now. But for my GOAT of the week, I'm going off the board. And I am going to go with Logan Paul. And I understand that the fight was last Sunday, but we did change our schedule, so I have some leeway there. But the reason why Logan Paul is my GOAT of the week is because he quite literally went into the ring with the GOAT and lasted all, what was it, 7 rounds? I don't even remember. It was a while ago. 7 rounds. And he had the hardest walkout ever. Like, that was just cold.
So he's the GOAT of the week because of the way he walked out?
No, because he lasted 7. Did you not hear me that? Like I just said, he lasted the whole way with the greatest boxer of all time. And, you know, people were just saying, oh, he's going to get knocked out. Like, I'm pretty sure the majority of people say he's going to get knocked out in the first round. I truly didn't think it was going to be that way. I thought, you know, I had to give him some leeway because he has the reach, the height, you name it. And Floyd is like 58 years old or whatever, 67, 90, whatever.
60 pounds less than Logan.
Yeah. I just think it was very impressive to last that long with Floyd Mayweather because of how great Floyd Mayweather is. And that's my reason he's going to be my GOAT of the week.
I'm curious to see how many votes you're going to get.
I'm really curious too. That's part of the reason.
We're picking someone for GOAT of the week because he drawed in a fight.
There was no result.
Connor, come on.
I'm just saying.
Connor, I'm sure that you were one of the people that said he was going to get knocked out right away. I mean, even if you were watching, you seem like a great boxing fan right now. I mean, did you think he was going to get knocked out? Let's be honest.
I didn't know. I didn't know what we were walking into because of how old Floyd is.
Okay.
And
Mike, did you think he was going to get knocked out?
Or just cut me off?
Because I don't know what you're talking about now. Mike, did you think he was going to get knocked out?
Yeah, I thought Logan was going to get knocked out in like the later rounds. I was shocked with his performance. I was also shocked with how old and slow Floyd looked.
You know, I'm fairly
compared to like his past self.
I'm fairly confident Logan was knocked out. And have you guys seen the video? He was knocked out.
He wasn't. That's not a knock. That's not a knockout, Connor. That's not.
I don't know. His eyes rolled back.
I think I could get behind that. I don't know. He was definitely a little wobbly. Would have been.
He was a little. He wasn't there.
I don't know. He's still 0-1 in professional fights with the loss to KSI. So we can always throw that out there. But very interesting GOAT of the week nonetheless. We got a soccer player, We got a first baseman from Canada.
We got a
And we
YouTuber.
also have a YouTube boxer who fought TBE last week.
If I win, that is. I'm gonna be honest. That is sad. I'm really curious to see how many votes I actually get.
You might get like 2. I don't know, dude. I
I'm
think
hoping
Kyle's gonna run away.
I'm hoping for a 0. Let's go. Oh man.
Great episode of Go Chat here today, episode number 90. Obviously, we miss our buddy Tommy to be here with us, but as he said at the beginning, he's off doing great things this summer. We'll try to get him involved as much as we can. You know, our communication with him has been there. He's super busy, so we're trying to be in contact with him as much as we can. But we're gonna have GOAT picks up on Instagram within the next couple days. You're watching this on Monday, so they'll definitely be up today.
Yeah.
But until then, Goat Chat is taking next week off. Remember that, because next week is Father's Day. We will have a post about that. But we will be back with episode 91 in 2 weeks. We can't wait to be back for you guys getting your sports content. We'll see you guys then.